You know that box. Chances are you've had one of these sitting on your kitchen counter more times than you can count. It's got to be one of the most familiar sights in fast food, right? But what's really interesting is that inside this simple cardboard box is a huge story of explosive growth, a tech revolution, and honestly, one of the gutsiest marketing campaigns I've ever seen. Okay, let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about that logo. We see it everywhere. It's clean, it's simple, but those three dots, they are not random, not at all. They're actually a little piece of history, a relic from the company's earliest days, and they tell a fascinating story all on their own. So, yeah, let's start right there with the dots. To really understand what they mean, we need to hop in a time machine and rewind the clock all the way back to the beginning, when Domino's was just a single local pizza joint. So picture this. It's 1960. It all starts with one little shop in Michigan called Dominick's. A few years later, it gets renamed to Domino's Pizza. And by the middle of the 60s, the company had expanded to a grand total of 3 locations. Yep, just 3. And here's where that famous logo comes from. The original idea was so simple, it was brilliant. They were going to add a new dot for every single new store they opened. So those 3 dots we still see today, you guessed it, they represent the company's very first 3 restaurants. Which, of course, brings up a really obvious question, right? If that was the plan, why didn't the logo end up looking like a crazy connect-the-dots puzzle with thousands of dots all over it? And the answer is actually pretty great. The company just grew too fast. They were opening stores so quickly that it became totally impractical to keep updating the logo every single time. The plan was literally a victim of its own success. So the logo is basically frozen in time, a snapshot of when Domino's was just this small local chain. And this really puts that growth into perspective. They went from those 3 little stores in Michigan to a global empire that operates in over 90 countries today. Just try to imagine fitting a dot for every single one of those stores on a pizza box. No way. But, that kind of insane growth wasn't just about selling more pizzas. It was really about how they got that pizza to you. And this brings us to the second huge piece of their success story. They completely revolutionized delivery. This was their battle cry for decades, 30 minutes or less. It was this super bold guarantee that put speed and logistics right at the absolute heart of their business. Everything they did, every part of the process, was engineered to hit that deadline. And their obsession with speed wasn't just about having fast drivers. No, they were way ahead of the curve on technology. Think about this. While most companies were still trying to figure out what a website even was, Domino's launched online ordering way back in the 90s. They saw it as just another tool to make things faster, from your click to your doorstep. And that legacy of innovation is still going strong with things like the pizza tracker. Now, it seems like a simple idea, but it totally changes the whole waiting game. By giving you a little window right into the kitchen and then on to the delivery route, it turns that boring wait time into something you're actually engaged with. It's pretty smart. And they are not stopping. The company is actively messing with the future of delivery. We're talking tests with drones, robots, self-driving cars, you name it. That original promise of speed is now pushing them into the world of science fiction. But here's the thing. To be successful in more than 90 countries, you need a lot more than just fast delivery. You have to get that not everyone wants pepperoni and mushrooms on their pizza. And this brings us to their amazing global strategy. A Domino's in Delhi, India is just not going to have the same menu as one in Detroit, Michigan. And that's on purpose. The company is an absolute master of localization, tailoring what they sell to fit the very specific tastes and cultural preferences of every market they go into. So yeah, you'll pretty much always find the classics like pepperoni and mushrooms. But then you go to India and you'll find paneer, cheese, is a star topping. Or you'll find corn is a huge favorite in lots of countries. And in Japan, you'll see a whole variety of seafood toppings. It's one global brand, but with tons of local flavors. Okay, now for the final piece of this puzzle. And for my money, it's the most fascinating part. Because for all their success with delivery and global growth, there was a point where Domino's had a massive problem. A whole lot of people just didn't like their pizza. Now, instead of ignoring the criticism or trying to sweep it under the rug, they did something almost unheard of for a giant company. They leaned right into it. They built an entire ad campaign around this brutally honest admission. Can you imagine this?
They put their own customers on camera, talking about how their pizza tasted like cardboard and that the sauce was like ketchup. It was a huge, huge gamble, basically betting that being radically honest would win back people's trust.
And behind that wild campaign, they actually went back to square one. They completely changed their core product. We're talking everything from the crust to the sauce to the cheese, and they did it based directly on what all those critics had been saying. It's a masterclass, really. It teaches you that sometimes being completely transparent is the best move you can make. By admitting they had a problem, they not only earned the right to fix it, but they turned their biggest weakness into their greatest marketing story. So, the next time you see that box, remember the story packed inside it. A logo that couldn't keep up with its own success, a company built on a promise of speed, and a brand that was humble enough to say, you know what, we were wrong. It really makes you wonder, as we go from a single roadside shop to delivery drones, what other crazy transformations are just around the corner?